Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of an Irish Knitting podcast. I am Sam and I coming to you from Dublin in Ireland. You can find me around the internet looking for Irish Farm Art or on my dedicated Instagram account at an Irish Knitting podcast. All the links are gonna be below in the description. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for coming by. This is my knitting podcast in which I try to follow more or less the classic knitting podcast schedule, talking about finished works, works in progress and acquisitions. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for all of your support on Ko-fi and on here on YouTube. It really means a lot. We finally, and I'm quite afraid to say that, but we reached the 5,000 subscribers, and I am kind of working now to figure out if we can do a little prize draw for this massive event. Once again, I'm really humbled about all of your support. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for giving you some Harry Potter vibes today. I have been at B&Q, which is our local garden center here, and I've been doing some gardening this morning. I actually got a plantation basically worth of strawberry plants. Let me know if you are interested in seeing a little bit of my garden situation. But I went there to buy a few indoors houseplants, and they had a massive sale on strawberry plants, which make me think now is probably not strawberry planting season. But yeah, anyway, I ended up buying something like 50 plants of strawberries. We're gonna have strawberries. Have I say strawberries enough today? Anyway, let's start with the knitting podcast. Today we don't have really much, but I wanted to film a little video for you guys to thank you about reaching this big milestone of 5k, and as well to catch up with my work. So, finished works today. We have this tiny chap here. I am going to put a little animation thingy I did over on the Instagram situation. This is the Tiny Chef from the Tiny Chef's Show. So difficult to say, Tiny Chef Show, which is like an Instagram account. I don't know if they have a TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, so I can't vouch for that. But it's basically this little chef, Tiny Chef, of course, and it's so funny. So the other night I was just setting up my knitting, and I was scrolling through Instagram, and I couldn't stop looking at the Tiny Chef sketches. It was extraordinarily funny. Is a real dude here. And so I knitted one for myself. Now, once again, I don't own the copyright for this chap. This is just something I've kind of done for my little enjoyment. Let me show you if I can do this without destroying the little chef. Anyhow, I'm gonna put this little animation I've done over here so you can have a better look at him. Basically, I was saying I don't own the copyright, so if you are interested in the pattern, please drop a message to the people behind the Tiny Chef. I'm gonna put their links below in the description, and if they are okay with that, I can write up the pattern and give it to you all. But it's basically a funny little creature made out of two balls. So I knitted the head first, flat, with increases on both sides and in the middle. And then from the end of the head, increasing and then decreasing down to create a spherical type of thing, like you would do with a mushroom head, for example. I joined in the round, and with the same idea of knitting a ball, like one of my Christmas bubbles situation that I've done a few years ago, I increased for the belly part, the body part, and the bottom. After that, I stuffed the belly, and when I was happy with that, I stuffed up the head and so on the behind. Added little legs and arms using some I-cord with some increasing and decreasing for the feet and the hand. And what else? For the jumper, I used the jumper technique out of my little teddy bear with a feral jumper that I've knitted last week. So it's actually really funny. I used a combination of woolly knits for the jumper and a double strand of host garn, super soft for the body. The hat here is just a little bit of tissue paper. I'm really happy with that, and I think it's so much fun to knit, and the guy himself is so much fun over on Instagram, so please give them a shout if you really want this pattern. I can just write it down for you. And that basically was the end of my finished works, would you believe? I know I have filmed my last episode, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I haven't been doing much knitting, to be honest. Well, having said that, I have started 2 Stockholm Sleepover from Petite Knit. The first one is this one, knitted in JC Rennie super soft British wool in the color Prussian blue. I have knitted the body. I just need now to pick up the collar, knit the collar and 2 armhole bands. I wanted to block it before that. And to block this, I actually put it inside out, as you can tell. It's still a little wet, but it's almost ready for the finishing part. This is the V-neck version, as you of course can tell from here. I wanted to block it because, first of all, the arm strap, shoulder strap, were all wrinkling, raveling on themselves. I have no idea what the word is, and so I really wanted to get them flat in order to pick up the stitches for the collars and the armhole in the better and more tidy way possible. And then, because of course woolly knits is like host garn, the wool, which I have here, comes in these cones here. It's drenched, as I said many times, in spinning oil. So when you knit up, this is very sheer, very holey. You can still see that. You almost can see my face through the fabric. So I really wanted to get rid of some of the spinning oil to make it, to plump up a little bit more, to bloom, and to see what type of fabric it creates. I'm knitting the 5th size with this yarn. This is a lace weight, I would say, yarn, which turns into some sort of fingering weight when it's washed, because of course, being full of spinning oils, this teeny tiny yarn here will grow a lot after washing, and the more you wash it, the more it plumps up. At least that is my experience. So 5th size, I use a combination of 2mm needles for the ribbing and 275 for the body. Anyway, nothing. I think we have here probably, if even, 30 grams of wool. It fits super well. It's a great little piece, and I'm looking forward to get it finished. Now, I am going to show you straight away the second one that I'm knitting. This is the work in progress for this. I just have done the shoulder strap and a little bit of the body. And this was basically one evening of knitting. Basically last night I was watching the Eurovision and Ireland got through the final, thank goodness. And while watching it, this was done basically from the beginning. And I'm using for this drop saffron. I'm gonna talk about this a little later, but this is a fingering weight yarn, a 4-ply yarn, which is basically 160 meters by 50 grams. Now, for this version, being the yarn a little bit loftier than this wool knits and not having any stretch, I decided to go down 2 sizes. So I'm knitting the 3rd size for this. And the plan is finishing it and then catch up with the stitches, and as per the first one, knitting the collar band and the sleeves. So this was my original desire, if I can say. I really wanted to knit with this yarn. This is a cotton yarn for the summer, you know. And I ordered a yarn online in one of the local shops, but I couldn't resist and I cast on this one, which is made out of wool, so a more wintry type of garment. Now I have a two. It's very good to have for the winter and for the summer. Now, what was I saying about this? Yeah, this is a cotton yarn, as I mentioned, and is one of my first times knitting cotton. I have done some work before with a colorwork jumper, and as you can see now, the stitches are all over the place. I didn't think I had much of a rowing out problem or much of a tension issue. But knitting with this yarn, which has no give at all, it's quite hard. I can see how the stitches are all over the place. So I've tried to tense my yarn a little bit more even. I tried so many things, but I couldn't really figure out how to solve this issue. If you have any recommendation for me, please let me know, because it's quite bothering me. Now, this is gonna be a really flowy. I'm tossing this around because it's so flowy. I'm not used to this type of yarns, and it's quite an interesting thing to knit with. Now, it's not hard on my hands by any means, and this probably because it's a fingering way yarn, so it's quite flowy once again. So the only issue is the stitch definition that bothers me a lot. But yeah, so we got the two Stockholm Sleepover by Petite Knit. Now, as I mentioned, the first one, the wool one, is knitted on the 5th size. This is knitted on the 3rd size. And you may ask, are you not following gauge at all? And I'm saying, no, I'm not following gauge. The issue that I have with all of these patterns is that they are all written up for DK yarn, up to Aran Way and Chunky and so on and so forth. It's so difficult to find a fingering weight yarn pattern, or a pattern that follows a gauge for fingering weight, that I ended up over and over modifying patterns to get the design that I like, but translate that into fingering weight. And that takes a lot of math. When the stitch count is correct, the row gauge is wrong. So basically, if you need the circumference of your body which fits you, then you have the problem of the length not be right following the pattern needed for a larger gauge. So basically, when I have to decrease for the sleeves, or in this case to increase, I always need to do some math to get the increases right to fit my body shape, which is A, a lot of work, and B, takes off a little bit from the mindless knitting. But so far I'm happy with that. I tried on the half work done of the woolly one, and it fits really well, so hopefully that works. But you know, knitting two different sizes meant two different math works at some point, but we're happy with that. The last work in progress is a sock. So, you remember how last time I was talking about a pair of shorty socks with a heel tab? These are the shorty heel tab sock. Let me actually grab the other pair. I have it just here. Here they are. This is the original sock that I've knitted. As you can see, it's a lovely little sock knitted all with short rows. If you want to know a little bit more about this pattern, this design, I would gladly link you to my previous podcast. It's a free pattern and I think is ingenious. We have short rows for the heel, short rows for the toe, and short rows for the heel tab, which is this little up thingy thing which goes behind on your heel. Now, the thing that I was complaining last time is that these socks grew so much on the needle, knitting with 2mm needles on a very fine gauge, the smallest size, which calls for a 60 stitches circumference on the top. And I couldn't figure out why. I even added, in the original one, some pearls and needs some ribbing in the middle of the foot to get them to stay a little bit tighter. Now, these have been worn, as you can tell, and washed. They smell absolutely beautifully of wool wash. And yeah, so the thing that I wanted to do this time is to have ribbing all over the sock to try and get them to fit a tiny little bit better. So I have done a 1x1 ribbing on the heel tab, on the cuff, let's say, turning into 2x2 for the sock. Now, I don't know if you can really tell about what's going on with this dark yarn, but it's working out quite well, and I think the sizing situation is probably solved. The only thing I'm not certain about is that on the tab, for example, I did not add the ribbing because I wasn't sure about short rows, how they react to ribbing. So if I'm on a German short row and I'm on a pearl stitch, what will I do? But yeah, I'm quite happy with the initial thing. This is I don't remember the name of the yarn. I think it's some Regia sock yarn. A Regia sock yarn is not Regia, it's Opal. This is Opal sock yarn, 75-25, and the color is this gorgeous purple. I threw away the label so long ago, but it's a big ball, it's 100 grams, and probably will give us at least 2 pairs of socks, 4 socks altogether. I don't mind the color, it's gorgeous. I just want to get shorties. I use them all of the time. I use that pair that I just showed you so much last week that I washed it twice. It's a great little pattern and it's free, so happy days. This is going to be a project for the weekend. The weekend, as I was mentioning in my last episode, I don't tend to knit. I don't tend to craft. Let me explain a little bit better, because I got a little bit of a clashback in my previous episode about what I said. So probably I owe you an explanation. So I mentioned that I don't knit and I don't craft over the weekend, because for me crafting is a way to... The tiny chef lost his hat. For me crafting is a way to relax and get through the 9-to-5 office job that I have, and get through, you know, the stress of having to be on call, having to be with a lot of responsibility in my work, in my job, and basically not being able to dedicate some time to my own self, and having to dedicate this big chunk, 8, 9, 10 hours a day to a company. Now, I am very glad and grateful that I have a full-time job. I know that out there it's a struggle to find a job, and it's a struggle to find a good job. So I'm not saying that, but I always have been in my life a very artistic, creative person, and not being able to do that as a job is quite hurting. And I use crafting and knitting in any space of time that I have during the day, just to turn off the piece of time that I'm not dedicating to myself, in which I'm working, turning that off and getting something for my own self, for my well-being. And that's what I meant when I said I only craft during the week. During the weekend, of course, I have so much more time for my crafting, and so much more time for my own self, and I tend to go out, exercise, visit museums and parks, and go and be in touch with nature, and so on and so forth. So it's more of a time that I don't need to be obsessively crafting. I don't need to find this self time, because it's all for myself. Does this make any sense? Do you resonate with this at all? Let me know if you have found some more sustainable way to create and to get through your own working day without having any issue, or without having to rely so heavily on the beautiful craft of knitting. I would be really interested to understand what are your techniques and stuff like that. This brings us to the end of the finished works. I'm looking at the clock there. We are 20 odd minutes in, which is pretty short. I told you I have not much crafting stuff today, but That's it. We have some acquisitions though. So last time we were talking about some yarn that I bought that was about to come with a courier, and the courier didn't come while filming, so I had to wait, and of course he came 10 minutes after I turned off the camera. But ta-da! This is the yarns that I bought. It's quite different from my usual yarnage situation, and I will go through this with you now and explain a bit what's the difference. So we have first, let's start with this. This is Drops Daisy, which is a 100% merino wool, I would say, non-superwash, which is something that I have never found before. Of course, this was out there for years, but for some reason I never approached this. So 100% merino wool, non-superwash, 50 grams by 110 meters, which means this is kind of a DK yarn. And I wanted to get a jumper quantity of this because A, it's inexpensive, and B, it's merino wool, so it shouldn't be itchy, but it's not superwash, so I don't have to worry about the jumper or the knit to become massive, has all the qualities of regular wool. I haven't knitted with this before, as I mentioned, so it will be a interesting knit. I got 13 balls. As you know, I always play yarn chicken, so in my, what was it, project video series where I knitted the zipper sweater light for men by Petite Knit, I was yarn chickening all the way, and I declare at the end that I used 13 balls, and so I bought 13 balls of this. Hopefully we'll get through. For that jumper I use a 50 grams by 90 meters, so we have 110 meters, which is 20 meters more than I had for the other jumper, so hopefully this will be enough. The color is 19, it's this gorgeous petrol blue. So that was it, but the main thing that I wanted to buy were these guys here. Now the colors are just lovely. So I got 2 drops saffron, which is 100% cotton, 50 grams by 160 meters. We have a number 6 color and a number 64. This is a gorgeous light olive green, and then we have some sort of beigey marzipan color. I was watching Mega from the Skeins of Dream podcast. I'll put the link below in the description. And she was wearing a gorgeous tee. Now, I don't remember what pattern it was, but it was knitted with some cotton yarn, and was just absolutely gorgeous. Suits amazing on her, and I really wanted to get the sleepover, done in cotton to wear out and about during the summer, and so I got cotton. Now, Mega was actually mentioning that she knitted with linen mix yarn, and I couldn't find in my local shop any linen yarn. I would have had to buy some on some shops abroad, but I really didn't want to, and I was quite in a rush of having the yarn. For a reason that I will tell you after this. So the thing that I found is this one. This is from Sheepage. This brand here, I have no idea how you say it, and is bamboo soft. It's a premium blend, says the label, of 50% bamboo and 50% cotton. It's a bit more expensive than saffron, but not really that much. And the ball is 50 grams by 150 meters. I read about bamboo, and everybody that review bamboo mixed yarn seemed to agree on the fact that it is so much softer than cotton. So I really wanted to try this, and looking at the yarn here, I haven't knitted it yet, but it's very sturdy, has no give, and feels like it's a tiny bit softer than cotton itself. I need to knit something with this, and then we'll see. I got 6 balls of each, which would make the sleepover from Petite Knit. I might actually look for another kind of tank top sleepover-ish pattern. If you have any recommendation for me, let me know. I don't mind if it's a female body shaped pattern. I always can make some amendment, some modifications to the pattern and get something done. Now, looking at them like this, I really want to knit something with the 3 of them together. I think it's actually a magnificent combination of colors, so we'll see what that brings us to. But yeah, I'm very happy with at least this year trying and knit something for summer with a summer yarn. It's a great little thing. Now, why was I in a rush to get the yarn, you may ask? Well, A, because I wanted to knit with that, and B, because I had to leave the country. I went to for an holiday over the bank holiday weekend last weekend, which was kind of May Day for us in Ireland. And I went to Denmark, to Copenhagen. I haven't been there before, and was a nice little break from the general hustle and bustle of life, and I really enjoyed Copenhagen. I found that it was a lovely town, a lovely city, quite much bigger than I imagined in my mind. It reminded me a bit of Germany, and at the same time a little bit of the Netherlands combined together into something completely different. So I'm very, very happy I was able to go and visit the city, have some of the most amazing food. I really wasn't expecting to find such gorgeous food there. It was a great little break. Of course, we visited the local Irish pubs, and that was actually good as well. And I visited a bookshop. I unfortunately couldn't find any yarn shop. Of course, I was staying right in the city center, and the time was very, very short, like 3 days overall, with considering the flights and all of that. So bookshops, there were plenty. I went in a bookshop and I got 2 books here, and these were advertised as traditional knitting crafts from Denmark. Now, pardon me, I have no idea if they are from Denmark or from the Scandinavian area, but yeah, I got them. So this one, I really wanted to get this for a long, long time. This is Viking Knits by Lasse Matteberg. I am astonished with this. I don't know if you can see some of the designs here. You get a lot of traditional color work, yokes, around the yokes, but as well gorgeous patterns like this. I put a post-it for the page to open because it's full of patterns and I really don't want to give it away too much, but it's an amazing book. I am sure I will need a lot from this book. It's gorgeous. Every single page has amazing photos and amazing sweaters. It ticks all the boxes in terms of what I like to knit. Color work, bottom-up designs, gorgeous color combinations, amazing textures, and there's so much variety in this book. Now, it cost me about 20 euro. It was in kroner, but yeah, I think you can find this on Amazon as well. I just wanted to add this from Copenhagen just to have some, memory of that as well. And the second book that I got is Icelandic Knits from, well, there are a lot of people named there, a lot of designers. It's another gorgeous book. Definitely this is not Danish, particularly Danish, but it was right beside Viking Knits. I couldn't stop myself from getting it. And this book is a galore of color work round yokes. You can find in this book so many of them, and they are all gorgeous. As well, look at this. The pictures in these books are just amazing. I got this for another 20 euro-ish, and yeah, I'm very pleased with this. They are going to be used a lot. You know, sometimes the only thing that you want is just to get through your books, get inspired and knit, rather than having to go on Ravelry search and buy another pattern. So we have about 18 patterns here, 40 patterns in the other book, plenty of knitting. And yeah, that's it for the acquisitions, and that's basically it for this podcast. Now that I am back from vacation, I'm just settling in, a little bit of work, some gardening tonight. The sun is just amazingly shiny today. I'm very pleased with it as well. Of course, less of woolly layer, but it's nice after such a long winter that we had here to have a bit of a break, a bit of a sunshine. What other project do we have? Nothing really. Finishing those two sleepovers, and then probably investigate if there is a pattern that really calls me from one of those books to cast on straight away and get another nice, go back actually to another nice color work knitting. That is always something that relaxes me a lot. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like, please consider to subscribe to my channel. If you have any recommendation as well for a 5k giveaway prize, I'm really happy to hear. And as well, please remember that the Rainbow Cal 24 is still on. You just need to knit something in the Pride colors and tag me on Instagram with the hashtag RainbowCal24. This is a little call that I'm running until the end of June, at least, in order to raise awareness for the LGBT community, and running up to Pride Month in June. I really wanna get us knitting people to raise awareness, to talk about it, to make it normal, and yeah, just support our LGBTQA+ friends. And that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.